Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, fan sided Daily DDT. My man, how you doing?
Doing great, Randy. How about you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Can't complain. We are in the Royal Rumble season. On the road to WrestleMania. Royal Rumble is live this Sunday, Tropicana Field in Tampa, Florida. But I know before we get started, I wanted to have you on the show because there are a lot of moments in the Rumble history. Right now, there's a lot of anniversaries for the Rumble. You know me, I'm very big on anniversaries and nostalgia. But I figured, hey, why not have a show that talks about some of the great, Rumble moments, its matches, top five this, top five that. So I know you're the perfect guy for that. So that's why we are here, man.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. Royal Rumble is always consistently one of my favorite pay-per-views of the year, and I speak for a lot of people when I say that. So, yeah, happy to be breaking it down today.
So you can find Graham on Twitter at WrestleRant. You can find me at Randy J Cruz, RENDY. The letter J is CRUZ. If you're watching live on YouTube or Player One, we thank you for participating. If you got a question for us or comment, drop it in the chat. Me and Graham will get to it at some point in time during the show. You can find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at the Cruise Control Podcast Network. Download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. We're just a little bit of 20, 25 subscribers away, so I can change the YouTube name the way I want it to look like. So go ahead, show some love and support. Shout out to Red Bull, my people in the back right here.
Love Red Bull.
Oh yeah, it's loaded with Red Bulls right now. So yeah, man, Rumble is a major pay-per-view. It's one of the big four: WrestleMania, Rumble, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam. We look forward to this every single year. Obviously, this year is gonna be different than previous. No fans allowed. Even though the talk of WrestleMania having fans allowed could kind of change things up for the company going forward. But as far as we know now, Rumble is closed doors in Tropicana Field. So my thing is this, Graham. So when I mentioned the big four for you as a fan, we'll start here. Many have WrestleMania as number one, granted. But for you, what do you think is your favorite second pay-per-view? Because many look at SummerSlam as the WrestleMania of the summer. Survivor Series is pretty much number four all the time. So it comes down to SummerSlam and the Royal Rumble. To you, what's your second favorite pay-per-view?
I had someone ask me this last week. You're right. I think undisputably Survivor Series is always four. I think the top two are interchangeable. I think it's either WrestleMania or Rumble. And I love SummerSlam. Don't get me wrong. I've been to my fair share of SummerSlam shows. I love SummerSlam, but the WrestleMania and Rumble just have a different vibe to them. And I think most people would agree that they're more excited annually for Mania and Rumble than they are SummerSlam and definitely Survivor Series. So, yeah, SummerSlam is the WrestleMania of the summer. But you don't really feel, at least most people, I can't really speak for myself because I look forward to all the major shows. I'm just a mark like that. But, the people's level of anticipation for SummerSlam isn't quite the same as it is for Rumble and Mania. So for me, it's Mania number one. Rumble is two. SummerSlam is three. And Survivor Series is four. Obviously, that's entirely subjective, and people might put Survivor Series in number one. I have never met anyone who has ever said that, and I don't think I ever will. But I think the top two are interchangeable between Rumble and WrestleMania. I would put WrestleMania at one, but that's just me.
WrestleMania is number one for me. I love SummerSlam, but I think there's more at stake when it comes to the Rumble. The Rumble
Definitely.
is the lead up to WrestleMania. Because you pretty much get January, February, March, April, 4 months of straight of one big storyline going from the Rumble to Mania. And I know SummerSlam nowadays is like 4 hours long. Is the WrestleMania of the summertime, which is great. But I think for more impact and more meaningfulness, I think the Rumble gets the nod at number two.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
All right, let me go from here. So, where do I go from here, Graham? Who are some of your favorite? Matter of fact, test you out real quick because I love doing that. Do you recall in order who won the Royal Rumble every single year? from when it started to last year.
Definitely.
Come on, Grant, really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm the same, but you're supposed to like not know one.
You want to go through it right now, and I'll tell you. We'll see if I'm wrong or right or whatever.
Let's see. So
My
Royal
hands are
Rumble.
off the computer. I don't know.
So the Rumble debuted in 1988. So this year would be the 34th installment of the Royal Rumble, which makes me feel very old because I've seen every single Rumble, I think live or as it happened. So Graham Matthews, let's start off real quick at WrestleMania Royal Rumble 88, all the way down to the Royal Rumble 2020. Who are the winners? Go ahead.
All right. So before I get started here, I got to give a shout out to RJ Marceau. I know he's watching live right now. He's waiting for my friggin' neighbor to photobomb me. But putting that aside, 1988, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. 1989 was Big John Studd. 1990 and 1991 were Hulk Hogan. 92 was obviously Ric Flair. 93 was Yokozuna. 94, Lex Luger and Bret Hart tie.
Damn.
95 and 96, Shawn Michaels. 97, Stone Cold Steve Austin. 98, Stone Cold Steve Austin. 99, your favorite Rumble, Mr. McMahon, even though it's the worst Rumble of all time.
Never.
2000, The Rock. 2001, Stone Cold Steve Austin. 02, Triple H. Brock Lesnar. 03, 04, Benoit, he who shall not be named. 05, Batista. 06, Mysterio. 07, Taker. 08, Cena. 09, Orton. 2010, Edge. 2011, Del Rio. 2012, Sheamus. 2013, Cena. 2014, Batista. 2015, Roman Reigns. 2016, Triple H. 2017, Randy Orton. 2018, Shinsuke Nakamura. 2019, Seth Rollins. And 2020 was Drew McIntyre.
Wow. I would say I'm impressed, but this is natural for you. So
I know I was going to say at this point, I'm not sure if you would be. I'm not expecting you to be impressed.
I expect you to know this kind of stuff. So out of all those winners, again, now we'll go here. Again, I know a lot of these Rumbles happened before you were around. So from what you've seen, or just going back in the archives, who are some of the winners of the Rumble that you were like, I could have gone a different direction as opposed to him? Who are some winners you were kind of suspect on?
Well, in the time that I've been watching for the last 12, 13 years now, I mean, obviously Batista, Roman Reigns were the wrong winners. Those are regarded as two of the worst Rumbles of all time, back to back. Batista, the year that he won, Daniel Bryan should have won. It just made more sense. 2015, Daniel Bryan should have won again, even more so than in 2014, and he lost again.
Mm-hmm.
The other ones, I wasn't really too fond of Triple H winning the 2016 one, even though it made sense. 2017, Orton didn't really do a lot for me because it's Randy Orton. He's already established.
Right.
I forgot who I wanted to win that year instead. I don't remember. In recent years, I think they've gotten it right. I think Nakamura, Rollins, and McIntyre all deserved to win, and they did. I thought that was cool. Going back earlier, the 99 one, again, I don't like at all. The fact that McMahon won, it was more of a storytelling thing, so it doesn't really – I wasn't watching in 99, so I can't say, I wish Owen Hart won instead or whatever.
Right.
I don't remember. I wasn't watching at that point. I'm trying to think. I know I've written articles about this, like, who should have won what year? Like, what people deserve to win that never did. It's hard to say. 02 Triple H made sense. 03 was Lesnar. I don't know. I feel like more often than not, they have gotten it right. I feel like they've gotten it right more often than not. I don't know. Sheamus in 2012 was fun. I kind of wanted Jericho to come back that year or to win that year because he had come back to feud with CM Punk. 2013, I thought, this is going to sound crazy now, but I thought Ryback would be a good winner just because he had so much momentum at that point. Him over Cena would have just been a better choice, in my opinion. I feel like they've gotten it wrong in the last few years more than they ever did earlier on. Again, I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. I mean, there's definitely people in those first few years that I'm not thinking of that I'm like, oh, that definitely should have won. I would really have to go back and watch the Rumbles again. But the ones from recent years are the ones that come to mind right off the bat.
I think the Sheamus one was, I mean, I could have went somewhere else. Del Rio, I could have went somewhere else as opposed to Del Rio.
He was a new name. I will say that these people are like fresher faces. I would rather have a Del Rio win, even though I mean, at that point, I like the guy. Now I don't give a fuck about him, but he was a new guy they were pushing. It was better than because the last couple of years they've had multi-time winners. They literally had a stretch from 13 through 2016, 2017, actually, a 4 or 5 year stretch where Cena, Batista, I'm sorry, Roman won. He was just the wrong person to win.
Right.
But Cena, Batista, Orton, and Triple H all won the Rumble for a second time. I'm not saying that people shouldn't win it for a second time. I mean, fucking Stone Cold won it 3 times, but it's not exciting. They need to have newer faces win it. And they have in the last couple of years. Rollins wasn't exactly a new face when he won it recently, but he made the most sense 2 years ago. Nakamura and McIntyre were 2 fresh faces that really propelled them to the main event. McIntyre more long-term than Nakamura. Nakamura is kind of the mid-card level now. I think the Rumble, I'm more of a traditionalist. Obviously, you should go for what makes sense. Like, for example, Daniel Bryan winning this year, that is my current pick to win the Royal Rumble on Sunday. Is he a fresh face? No, he debuted over 10 years ago. Like, he's been here forever. But he's never won a Battle Royal. It makes the most sense. People would want to see Bryan and Roman at WrestleMania. You have to do what makes sense, but also go with someone that hasn't been shoved down our throats in that spot. Daniel Bryan is a multi-time WWE champion, but I think it would make for a nice moment. You got to go with what the people want to see, or a shocking name that we're not even thinking of that we want to see, but we didn't know we wanted to see. Like Cesaro, for example. No one is picking, Cesaro to win this thing. But yeah, Cesaro victory, I think a lot of people would agree would be fucking crazy. That'd be amazing. So I don't think we've really had a shocking, I've thought about this a lot, that I don't think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, in at least the last 15 to 20 years, we've ever had a Rumble winner that people were genuinely shocked to see win. Like, it wasn't rumored ahead of time. McIntyre was unexpected a little bit because people kind of expected Roman to win last year. But I mean, my pick was, I think my pick was Roman, but I figured McIntyre was a top choice just because him and Lesnar made sense. It was rumored, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's the case every single year. There has never been a winner, to my memory, that is one that we were literally not expecting whatsoever that people wanted to see. For example, like Adam Cole, not this will happen, but Adam Cole showing up on Sunday, winning the Rumble. Nobody is guessing that, but I think it would go over fairly well. So I don't think we've ever really had a case like that. It's always usually pretty predictable, whether we want to see it or not. And predictability isn't always a bad thing. But I wish they would throw us for a curveball one of these years and give us a winner that we're not expecting and someone that again, be careful what you wish for, because I don't want fucking Jinder to come back on Sunday and win the whole goddamn thing. Got to get my obligatory shot at Jinder in there. But it's got to be someone that people would be well received to want to see win the Rumble and someone that we're not expecting. So that's just one observation that I've had regarding the Rumbles.
As far as shock value goes, someone who's in the Rumble and you're like, wow, I did not expect that. Rare. Like, again, I didn't expect Sheamus to win it. I didn't really expect Del Rio to win it. The time when John Cena came back in 2008 at the Rumble, they thought he was out, with the injury. Like, he's gone for half the year. So when he comes out at number 30, and it's like, oh shit, like John Cena came back within 3-4 months. That was, I think, the last shock value they had when it came to the Rumble. I could be totally wrong, but as far as like, all right, 29 picks in, we don't expect John Cena to come out. He comes out at the Garden, he wins the whole thing, but then loses at WrestleMania. Different story for a different day. But as far as everybody else who came after that, as far as winning, like, Batista, Roman, you got Hunter for that was for the title.
Yep.
Everybody picked Nakamura. Everybody was Edge when he came back in 2010 from that injury when he was a tag team with Jericho. I don't know about shock, but like Taker and Shawn Michaels being the final two in 07 could have been one. And look at your boy RJ. John Cena. Thank you.
It was a shocker.
Thank you.
Del Rio, he was at the 2011 one, so.
Oh, that's Del Rio.
Del Rio was the 40-man Rumble one. Yeah, he was there in Boston for that one. That was the year. The Rumble itself, I actually used to really like. I don't really give a shit about it now. That was the only 40-man Rumble they've ever done. And that was the year that Booker and Kevin Nash came back. Why did they do that?
Yeah.
I think because at that time they had the Nexus and they had that other group, the Core. So they had a lot of factions at that point. And they can't get everyone in the faction in there unless they expand the Rumble, because those people alone would have made up like a third of the spots. And they want to give more spots to other people. And they also want to just fucking, like, they threw in losers in that one just so the Nexus could toss them out. It wasn't your traditional Rumble. So that's why they did that. Because they just had they have a bigger roster now than ever before. But I think 30 is the perfect amount. I used to say I would like to see the 40-man one come back just because they have a bigger roster now than ever before. But I just think a Rumble, it can get tiresome after a certain amount of spots. So I think 30 is perfect. I think any less or more than 30 is too much or too little.
Who are some of your favorite winners? Like maybe try to say, aside from who you predicted, like who were some of your favorite, who were the winners you felt like that was the perfect time, the right person, right time, and they won at WrestleMania? Who do you think was like the perfect fit to win a Rumble match?
Well, I was gonna say partly Nakamura. And RJ and I went to that one. We went to that one in Philly a few years ago. That was one of the best Rumbles they've ever done. And yeah, people picked Nakamura to win. AJ Styles was the WWE. I mean, not everybody. Most people did, because it was really either Nakamura or Roman Reigns. Because Roman Reigns also went for a world title at WrestleMania that year. So people picked Nakamura, but it was one of the best Rumbles they ever did. And people were genuinely excited to see Nakamura win because he was a fresh face. He didn't win at WrestleMania. It didn't pan out. And he never went up to main event status again. So it's hard to say him. As a moment, I would put that on there. In terms of like, oh, they won the Rumble and it paid off. McIntyre, I think, would be maybe not number one. It probably would be number one. I loved last year's Rumble to the point where I thought it was the WWE match of the year. And I don't think a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but I thought the Lesnar stuff was perfect. I thought McIntyre tossing him out was great. You had the Edge return in there. You had some other stories told and interweaved towards the end. I thought it was the perfect Rumble. You had some other surprises too. I thought it was a near perfect Rumble. And McIntyre winning, people picked him. But the thing with Drew was that, yeah, people picked him, but they didn't know they didn't actually think that he would win. Some people, I'm not talking for everyone. It wasn't predictable when he won. Because if it was predictable, that reaction would not have been what it was in the stadium last year. It was so fucking loud because people really, really, really wanted to see him succeed. And he had never been to the main event level prior to that point. And he went on to WrestleMania. He's been a star ever since. So he's probably my number one. Edge was my favorite winner. That was the first Rumble I watched live as a fan. That was my favorite one for a long time. The Rumble was great. The Edge return was great. He didn't win at WrestleMania. He was already established. He didn't really work out as a babyface. So it's, again, longevity, long-term wise, it didn't exactly work out. But I would probably say Drew. I was like, wow. That was the first one where I was very happy with who won, and it ended up working out. The Nakamura one didn't really work out. All the other Rumbles, I was very apathetic towards. Like you said, Sheamus, don't really care. Del Rio, it was cool to an extent to that point because he was a new face. I don't remember oh my God, this is amazing. The rest of them, Cena, Triple H, Orton, Batista, I didn't give a fuck about any of those people winning. Roman winning was the wrong call. Orton winning was predictable the first time. So the Cena win, I wasn't watching at that point, but I'm sure I would have loved that if it ever happened when I was watching. But yeah, probably Drew would be my number one. And I know that's recent, but that would probably be my number one.
One more from our biggest fan, RJ. He mentioned, I think he's referring to Rey Mysterio in 06.
Yes, he is. That was a good. I don't love that Rumble. I feel like and we've actually watched that one back before. I think we did a commentary for it for Wrestle Rant Radio a number of years ago. The 06 Rumble is all right. And Rey Mysterio being in it for such a long time, he didn't do jack shit for most of that Rumble. He's not going to want to hear that. But it's true. You go back and watch that Rumble. His performance is unremarkable at best. He lasts a long time. It is impressive, but it's not like he's the star of the match the same way that Ric Flair was in '92 or the same way that Benoit was in '04. Both of them had far better performances than Rey Mysterio, in my opinion. There are people that have lasted a long time and never won, like Jericho in 2013 came back in number 2. He was in there for fucking close to an hour. You know, he had a great performance. I think Triple H did more in that Rumble than Rey Mysterio did. So, yeah.
Hunter came out number 1, I think.
Yeah. He came out number 1 and Rey was number 2. And they were both in there. The last 2 were Orton and Rey, and then Triple H was in there until like number 3. But yeah, I've never really cared for Rey's performance. That's not a Rumble I go back and love. And he's another guy. He won the title at WrestleMania, but he was a perennial main event player after that. No, he never. It was another 5 years before he won another world championship. They just didn't see him at that level, and they booked him like shit too, so that didn't help. And people don't like that one because they felt that he got that push because of Eddie, which to an extent is true. But Rey, I mean, he was in the Final Four a year earlier. People forget about that. No, it's not like Rey was this job guy and then Eddie dies and they pushed him to the main event. Rey Mysterio was already incredibly popular and he was already kind of flirting with the main event scene. He probably would have ended up in that spot eventually. This just kind of fast tracked it because of the circumstances. And it made for a great moment though, you know, dedicating it to Eddie, winning the title. The aftermath was questionable, but that's a different story for a different day.
Who are some of the guys? If I say, Graham, give me like a top 5. You know, we love top 5s here.
We do.
A top 5 top 5 wrestlers who you felt should have / could have won the Royal Rumble but never did. Who are like the main people? Like, man, he spent 5, 10, 15 years here but never once won a Rumble. Who are some of those guys? At least 5 of them.
An honorable mention would be Kofi Kingston. I know he's not at that elite level, but you know, he had so many Rumble saves where you would think the ultimate payoff would be he's got to fucking win one at one point. And I think we're past that point. That's never going to happen. But he did go on to win the WWE title at WrestleMania a few years ago. And that was because of the whole Ali thing and the natural Kofi Mania shit. But what if they had him win the Rumble that year instead? Rollins winning was amazing. Don't get me wrong, but that would be a shocker. Kofi actually winning for once would be a genuine shocker because no one would be expecting it, especially back then before he won the WWE title. So that would be RJ just texted me something derogatory after what I said about Rey Mysterio. That would be a genuine shocker. So he would be an honorable mention. I've written an article about this before. I don't remember who I put. I know 5. I know 2 off the top of my head. One would be Warrior. He wasn't there for a very long time, but I think Warrior winning, you know, he what was it? WrestleMania 6, he went on to win the WWE Championship.
Right.
So when was that? WrestleMania?
With 1990.
1990, and Hogan won the Rumble that year. Why? Hogan didn't need to win. I know this was before the title shots became a thing.
Right.
But that was, you know, he should have won the Rumble that year. Hogan didn't. Hogan made, you know, he could have won in 91 and it would have been fine. I think Warrior should have won at least one. I think Punk absolutely should have fucking won one. I don't know how he didn't. Shout out to the best in the world as you're wearing his t-shirt right there. You know, he was in a bunch of them. He had a lot of great performances. His last match ever was a Royal Rumble, the day that he quit or the day before he quit 7 years ago. So Punk, absolutely. I would put Daniel Bryan on that list because he absolutely should have won 2014, 2015, but he can go on to win this year. So that name might be erased. Beyond them, I'm trying to think, you know, Rock won one, Stone Cold, Kane might be a popular choice just because he was in so many fucking Rumbles, a lot of Royal Rumbles. Yeah, he just put Kane. There you go. Kane's probably got to be on this. He was in so many of them. Kurt Angle, maybe. Kurt Angle did almost pretty much everything else. He was King of the Ring. He won every fucking title, but he never won the Royal Rumble match itself. I can't think of one Rumble that he should have won, which is why I hesitate to put him on that list. But maybe. I'm trying to think of other people from like the 90s. Savage, if he was more in his prime, maybe. That was kind of at the end of his run, so Savage would have been nice. I'm trying to think who else.
I got one.
What?
Jericho.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, Jericho. He's been in so many of them. I think he could have won in 2013 and it would have made sense.
Mm-hmm.
He could have won in 2012. He went on to face John Cena or Jericho for the WWE title anyway. Or I'm sorry, he faced CM Punk for the title that year at WrestleMania anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just would have made more sense. So definitely Jericho. I
mean, if you want to go way back 90s, obviously, like we're gonna mention like Owen Hart, Diesel, like those kind of guys, Razor Ramon.
Yeah, I was thinking of those people too.
Yeah, Mr. Perfect could have won one again. Like before the title was the title shot was up in the air for WrestleMania. Duggan, the Big John Studs, and those guys, Hogan's, like they were already known, established. And I think the only two times the Rumble was up for the title was 92 and 2016. Real quick, so I'm going to segue into that. Did you at the time, again, so Roman was champion in 16, correct, at the Rumble?
He was, yeah. Then he lost it that night. Yep.
And you, as a fan, when you watching, did you think he was going to walk out as champion? If not, just kind of remind me who you had. I know it was going to be either Hunter. I think Dean Ambrose was up there as far as. Did you think Definitely. Dean Ambrose was going to win that belt? Now, kind of mentioning like a shocker, were you shocked that Triple H won the title at that Rumble?
No, I mean the story they were doing at that point, and it's funny you bring that up, and it's crazy that it's been 5 years. It was 5 years ago to the day from yesterday that Rumble happened. I'm wearing the AJ Styles shirt right now. AJ was in the match. I thought that Rumble was great. It's crazy to think it's been that long because I remember doing a show with you talking about it and who we had winning the Rumble. So if we go deep down in the archives, you could probably find it.
That's right.
My pick was probably Triple H because the story at that point, Roman Reigns had just beat the shit out of him at the TLC pay-per-view. You know, Triple H cost him the WWE title at Survivor Series. That was clearly the road they were going on, was Roman and Triple H at WrestleMania. As you said, Roman was already the WWE champion. He had just won the belt like a month earlier, so people were kind of expecting, oh, it's way too soon for him to be dropping it. But then again, would they really have him win 2 years in a row? Probably not. And he also came out at number one, too. So when they announced him as number one ahead of time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, he's not going to win. I know they love Roman Reigns, but I don't think they're going to have him enter at number one, win the whole thing, retain his title, and then win for the second straight year. That's not interesting. It doesn't, create any possibilities for WrestleMania. At least if Triple H wins, which he did, it puts Roman back in chase mode, which no one wanted to see. But I figured Triple H would win. When he came out at number 30, the funny thing was that he had been off TV since TLC, aside from like one takeover in London. He was off the show for like 5 or 6 weeks. Triple H comes back in number 30 as a surprise entrant. They didn't announce him. He comes out and they're like, oh, Triple H is here. And we're like, okay, we already fucking saw this coming. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think someone had the perfect sign that night. And they said there was a sign in the fucking crowd that said like, oh, here comes the shovel. Here comes the golden shovel or something like that. And he didn't bury anyone. But the thing about that Rumble, I think that Rumble is great. But it also had one of the best finishing sequences I've ever seen. Because Roman, if you remember, was chucked out at number 3. It was the final 3 were Triple H, or the final 4, I think, were Triple H, Sheamus, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. Roman chucks out Sheamus, and they had bad blood, so that made sense. Triple H then tosses out Roman. So when Ambrose is in there, you're thinking, holy shit, will they go all the way here and have him win? And Dean Ambrose, I think at that point, was the Intercontinental Champion. He had already beaten Kevin Owens earlier on in the show. So I'm thinking, holy shit. Like, could they have him win both belts? Like, I know, we were stupid to think that he would, but they made you believe there. He came very close to winning to Dean Ambrose. Yeah. So, going in, though, I think a lot of people expected Triple H. I think some people expected John Cena. I know we discussed that back at that point. Could he win number 17 on that show? He got injured, so he actually wasn't in the Rumble. But people were thinking, oh, could he win the belt and then go on to WrestleMania and face The Undertaker, which also would have made sense. They didn't do that. That might have been the plan. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe Roman and Triple H didn't have to be for the championship. But, I think a lot of people expected Triple H to win, though. In retrospect,
I even think because for someone like me to believe that Ambrose was gonna maybe win it, they had that roadblock.
They did, they did right afterward. Yep.
So you think, oh man, that was kind of cool. Okay, now they're building Hunter and Dean Ambrose, and they go at it at the Rumble, or it could have been after the Rumble. I'm not too sure. Probably
Oh yeah, it
before.
was after the Rumble, but they capitalized off of it. They put Ambrose in that spot for a little longer. It's not like he fell short and that was it for him. I mean, obviously he won the WWE title like 6 months later, but they continued that Dean Ambrose and Triple H feud for like about a month before
Right.
WrestleMania, and that was a better WrestleMania. That was a better match than fucking Triple H and Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, which was a poop fest. Nobody cared. But yeah, no, I thought that was a really cool ending though.
So we had that Rumble in 2016 for the title, and we rewind 24 years prior. So now we're at 1992, the only time that the Rumble was for the belt. We can get to the storyline at a different time, different day, but we're talking about Graham. There's been 33 Rumbles. Many people still feel that the 92 Rumble is the greatest of all time. Still to this day, we're talking 20 plus years later, 25 years later, 1992 still stands as the number one Rumble match of all time. One, do you agree? And if so, why? What makes 1992 Royal Rumble so special? Why it's still number one to this day?
Well, it's actually crazy you say that because it's actually almost been 30 years. Next year will mark 30 years since that Royal Rumble. Now, I mean, it feels you would think it's been like 2025. It's actually been 30 almost. It's been 29. The anniversary was like last week. And you're great with the anniversaries on Twitter and stuff like that.
Thank you.
But of course, with that Rumble, you talking about like the legacy of whether it's the greatest of all time 30 years later and why people are still talking about it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like again, there's Flair, there's the promo.
Yeah.
No matter what, when people say what Rumble was the GOAT, 1992 is always the top answer.
It always is. I think that's almost undisputed. There's a lot of things wrestling fans will disagree on, but if you get them in one room, I think the two things they will agree on: what is the greatest WrestleMania of all time? They will always say 17, 9 times out of 10. And what is the greatest Royal Rumble match of all time? Probably 8 or 9 times out of 10, they will all say the 92 Rumble, as long as they've seen it. If they haven't seen it, then they don't know. Some of the newer fans don't know. I'm a newer fan, but I've gone back and watched the Rumble, and I can tell you with full certainty, it's as good as everyone makes it out to be. And it absolutely is the best Rumble they've ever done. It is the first time they ever had the championship on the line. They've only done it twice. So it was special for that reason. But a big reason why that Rumble was so good, it's all about execution, because with the Rumbles, you know, it's harder to perfect a Rumble in 2020, 2021 actually now, because it's been around for so long where you kind of see the same spots. You know, it gets tough. 92 didn't really have that because it was still relatively fresh. So they could do some things that were still new. But I think with the 92 Rumble, two things that really made it stand out. What makes a great Rumble, in my opinion, is having a multitude of stories told. There's a lot of, feuds being furthered, people interacting that have bad blood, setting up WrestleMania matches. That happens a lot of the time there. Another thing that makes for a great Rumble, an unpredictable winner. I can't really speak to that for this Rumble because, again, I wasn't watching 30 years ago. I wasn't even alive in 1992, so I don't know. I don't know if people are banking on Flair winning. I mean, he was a WWE outsider, so I would think not. So I don't know. But a third thing that makes for a great Rumble, in my opinion, these are the three ingredients. The third one being star power. The roster at that point, and we talk about the roster today, and it's a really, in terms of talent, we might have more wrestling talent on the show now than we ever had before. In 1992, you had the wrestling talent, but you also had the biggest star period, I would say, ever in WWE. Like, you look at who's in that Royal Rumble, from Hulk Hogan to Roddy Piper to Ric Flair to Psycho Sid Justice at that point. Bret Hart, I think, was in the Royal Rumble. And if he wasn't, he was around at that point. He had the Road Warriors on that card, the greatest tag team of all time, arguably. They weren't in the Rumble, but they were on that show. Mr. Perfect, I'm pretty sure, was in that Rumble. I'd have to look at I would have to pull up the entire roster, but it was just one person after fucking another. Like, it was full. A Warrior, I think, was in that. Was he? No, he wasn't in that Rumble.
No,
he wasn't in that one. He returned to WrestleMania, but he came back 2 months later. So, I mean, like, Savage was in that Rumble, I'm almost positive, because he faced Flair at WrestleMania. Or no. Wait a second.
I got it right here. The Bulldog, DiBiase, Flair, Jerry Sags, Haku, Shawn Michaels, Tito Santana, the Barbarian, the Texas Tornado, Repo Man, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Nikolai Volkov, Big Boss Man, Hercules, Roddy Piper, Jake the Snake, Hacksaw, IRS, Jimmy Snooker, Undertaker, Macho Man, the Berserker, Virgil, Colonel Mustafa, Rick Martel, Hulk Hogan, Skinner, Slaughter, Sid Justice, and the Warlord.
I mean, you just said it all right there.
Mm.
It's the greatest roster of Rumble people I think they've ever had. And they've had Rumbles close to that. But it's not just the talent they have in there. A lot of those guys felt like genuine stars at that point. And when you watch the Rumble and it's just one person after another, it's like, holy shit. And any one of those people, maybe not Jerry Sags, but a lot of those people could have potentially won the Rumble.
And you know what? You're right. And I think that's the difference where, you again, so you go to the following year. I don't even want to read off that Rumble. That was just terrible. So like you like
Rumble, yeah.
2 to 3 people you feel like could win it out of 30. In here, Hogan could have won it. Taker could have won it. The champion the year prior, Macho Man could have won it.
Justice Piper, yeah.
Piper could have won it. Sid could have won it. Not Shawn Michaels. That's early. Heartbreak Kid. Tornado could have been up there. Former IC champion. Ted DiBiase could have been up there. Bulldog could have been up there, and of course Flair. So you had like at least 9-10 guys who were in there. Like, man, I don't know which way you can go. But as you mentioned, the storyline with Flair, he's with Bobby Heenan. He's coming in from a different corporation. Who's the real world champion? Is it Hogan? Is it Flair? Is it Macho? It's like he comes in with this cachet of talent, and it's like, again, this was the final Rumble in that golden era. So after this, you start getting those new generation guys, the Razors, the Diesels, and all that. So this was like how I feel WrestleMania 8 was how I felt that SummerSlam 92 was the end of the golden era. That Rumble 92 was the final Rumble of the golden era. So it's like time is changing. Hogan ain't there the following year and beyond. Half this roster ain't even in the Rumble the following year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like an end of an era kind of thing. But I think when you mentioned cachet of talent, the storyline, what felt real at the time, flair, bravado, the promo, everything just boiled up into a great, fantastic Rumble. I'm not even mentioning the other matches on the card, but just still, you had talent. Like you mentioned who you mentioned, the Road Warriors was there. Piper had a match earlier. Hart Foundation, like it was a lot of talent on one card. But I think 92, and there's some others, but I think 91 still stands as the GOAT for the as a Rumble match is concerned.
92?
Yeah, 92.
It absolutely is. I think if you make a mount, and then, I don't know if you want to end on this question or if you want to just get into it now. What would be the Mount Rushmore of Royal Rumble matches? I know we've discussed this before, but I don't know what I said off the top of my head.
Damn.
Obviously, 92 is so etched in stone, it'll never be destroyed. I mean, a fucking hurricane come through. It's not going anywhere. So that face on that Rushmore is not going anywhere.
92.
If you say 99, I'm leaving this call.
Oh, the Vince McMahon win. I mean, it wasn't that bad, bro. Again, storyline wise, the first 2 guys to enter, or the last 2 to be at the end, they threaded. They weren't even in the ring for like a half hour.
I know. It was a storytelling device to get from one point to the other, but as a Rumble match, I thought it was a total waste. I mean, I know what it accomplished in terms of the McMahon Austin stuff, so it wasn't a complete waste.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the 2014 or 2015 Rumble had fucking less stories than that one did. And I don't like the 99 one at all. The 99 one, it's weird because it's right in the middle of the Attitude Era. And you would think they would have bigger stars and just more exciting stuff going on. There's just nothing going on in that Rumble at all. But anyway, I know we've discussed this before. I wouldn't put that on there, obviously, though.
So Mount Rushmore of Rumble, 30-man Rumble matches.
What about 01?
I was gonna get there. I got 92. I got 01. I think who's in consideration could be 2008 with John Cena winning.
Yep,
If
no, I
not
was thinking that
'07, the
too.
year prior with Taker and Shawn, Taker and Shawn being the final two, that could be up there.
I don't know. I haven't seen the '07 Rumble in a while. I
Mhm.
just rewatched the '08 one the other day. And it's not just for the Cena win. I think that overall Rumble is just great in general. And I think what helps is the fact that it was an MSG. It just had a different vibe to it. They had fucking Michael Buffer do the in-ring introductions.
That's right.
It was just awesome. It was really, really cool. The unique entrance way. I love that Rumble. So I would put the '08 one on there.
So we
Definitely.
got 92, '01,
'08.
'08, and what's the final one? What do you think?
I would put either 2018 or 2020. I thought they were, if we're going from recent years, and there's not a lot of great recent years, I like the 2016 one too. Um,
Mm.
but I think 2018 and 2020 had more favorable finishes, which is why I would put those over 2016.
Mm.
28, I don't know. 2018 and 2020 are just both so good. 2020, if you don't like Brock, maybe it isn't for you because Brock dominated the first half of it, but it told
Right.
a great story. So I might put 2018 above 2020. They were both amazing Rumbles. So yeah, I would probably say 2018, 2008, 92, and '01. And I think an honorable mention would have to be '05. I thought the '05 one, I rewatched that one last week with the Raw and SmackDown guy. Cena, Batista, the last one's in there. Edge and
Mhm.
Mysterio had great showings. Just great stuff. So I think the '05 one should be in consideration as well.
What is your favorite? What is your favorite Royal Rumble moment? Not saying somebody who won, but just a moment like, oh shit, like now you're replaying it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years later. What is some of your favorite moments at the Rumble? As far as the
Um,
match, as far as the 30-man match goes.
yeah. The Cena return would probably, I don't know if it's number one, but it's, if we're talking Mount Rushmore, that's got to be on there. I mean, you see in every video pack and every video package. It's been 13 years. I would put that on there. The Edge return last year was amazing. I know people were kind of expecting it because it had been rumored for a while, but it's one of those things where it's not like he's coming back from like, oh, you know, he's on the sidelines right now. We never thought he would wrestle again. So the fact that he even came out to his music and everything was unbelievable. So that would probably be number one because I love that moment so much. Um, Rumble moments. It's not a moment as far as the match goes, but the Flair promo after he won backstage is just iconic.
Right.
It's not in the match itself, but it's afterward. And I think it's the only Rumble to end with a promo in terms of like the show itself. So that would probably be close if we're not just talking about the match. I don't know. Batista and Cena, the restart in '05, I thought was really cool. And that was a legit botch, too. And then McMahon blowing out his quads. That was a great moment. Unintentionally, a great, hilarious moment.
Mhm.
Um, as a fan, I always loved the first Edge return when he came back in 2010 and won the whole thing. That was one of my, just on a personal level, that was one of the first Rumble I ever watched. That was the first pay-per-view I ever fucking bought. And I was a big Edge fan, so I was very happy to see that. Booker T coming back, Kevin Nash coming back. Two great moments. I thought those were really, really cool. The 2018 one that I was in attendance for, my first and only Rumble that I've been to, Nakamura winning was cool. But I think the best part of that match for me was when Rey Mysterio came out. That was not rumored at all. And that was one person I wanted to see in it. Nobody saw that coming. And the reaction was fucking crazy.
Hmm.
Obviously, I would be remiss, but on my Mount Rushmore, got to put AJ Styles' debut on there. Another thing, people were expecting it, but it just doesn't compare. You see the I Am Phenomenal pop up on the screen. The crowd goes fucking nuts in Orlando, the former site of TNA. It just was an amazing moment that kicked off such a great run for him in WWE. I would be remiss if I didn't put that on the list either. So there's a lot of great ones. Not exactly a moment, but Kane's a Path of Destruction in the '01 Rumble was just fucking great. That was a really, really cool moment. Mr. Perfect showing in the '02 Rumble, very underrated. He fucking killed it in that Rumble. Hogan and Warrior kind of coming together in the '90 Rumble. That face-off that preluded the WrestleMania match was awesome. There's more I'm probably not thinking of, but those are definitely the ones that lead my list.
I think for me, if I had to pick a Mount Rushmore of moments, my Mount Rushmore of Rumble moments would be the Hogan Warrior stare in 1990. I mean, I gotta count the Flair promo. It's still a moment. But if you want to go just by the match itself, then I would do Hogan Warrior Stare. The Shawn Michaels 1 foot out the ring, holding on, dangling.
Oh, that's going to be another one too, of course. One of the best finishes they've ever done. Yeah.
Stone Cold getting eliminated, coming back in.
And 99?
No, 97.
Oh, okay. Yeah. When he, yep. I know what you're talking about. When he won the thing, yeah.
But he got thrown out by Brett. He comes back in, throws Brett out, and yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Man, I think the Brett Luger one is tough too. To have a co-winner, that was something very different.
It's unique, yeah.
It was unique. I think the John Cena returns got to be up there. It could be what's honorable mention. I don't want to forget. I think just everything that Kofi does when you think he's eliminated, but he's climbing steps and chairs and tables trying to get back in the ring. I think that right there has to be high on the list.
Yeah, any of them. I know he's done a lot of Rumble saves, but any of them from the last 10 years would be on there. Morrison kind of did it first when he jumped on the barricade. That was really fucking cool. I love that one. I think that was in the 2011 Rumble. That was awesome. Yeah, there's a lot. Punk in the 2010 Rumble cutting a promo midway through the match, and he was like, "Oh, join the straight edge." Like I thought that was really cool. That was something different. There's a lot of moments. Some I'm probably not thinking of. Jericho kicking off the Rumble with a surprise return in 2013 was wild because nobody saw that coming.
I mean, I wrote some down. I got Flair 92, the Brett Luger 94 stuff. Shawn winning back to back.
Yep.
Austin winning back to back. I think what's a cool moment is you saw Mankind, Cactus Jack, and Dude Love all in one Rumble in 1998.
That was funny.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Mysterio winning, going over an hour in 2006. Vince winning in 1999. I know you mentioned that's a terrible Rumble, but I think him. Obviously, we knew McMahon was not going to be at WrestleMania. But
yeah, they rectified that pretty quick.
For storyline purposes, like, oh shit, like he won the Rumble. The Taker, Shawn Michaels in 07 being the final two, being the old guard, still being the final two, and then those two opening the Rumble the following year at the Garden.
That was great too. Yeah, that was awesome.
You mentioned
the stage for the Mania match too,
right? And you mentioned the Cena Batista botch with
05, yeah.
And you know what? It's also a botch too. I think you should know
what,
but the camera angle does not show it. But in 2000 with the Rock and Big Show.
Oh yeah, that was a botch. Yeah. Rock did not win that match. Big Show won the match.
We couldn't see it from the angle, but if you're like in the crowd, you see the Rock have his foot on the ground first, but whatever. So Big Show has a legit gripe.
Yeah, Big Show should have won that Rumble apparently. Yeah.
I think as far as recently, you mentioned AJ debuting in 2016. I think the crowd in Philly for 2015 for Roman is still like
they hated Roman Reigns that night.
You brought the Rock out,
and they still fucking booed him,
and that didn't help.
Nope. That was damage control, man. That was so bad. I don't think I've ever seen. I know last year wrestling fans blew up after the Bray Wyatt Goldberg shit when Goldberg beat the Fiend. I don't know if I have ever seen such outpouring of negativity after anything that has ever happened in WWE than when Roman Reigns won the Rumble in 2015. Maybe Hell in the Cell 2019 would be up there when the Rollins Fiend shit happened inside the cell. That was pretty bad. That might come close, but that Rumble was just... It's like the worst part about that was like, why the fuck would you do this again? Because they made the mistake in 2014 with Batista winning instead of Bryan. And it's all right. They fucked up. They won't make that same mistake twice. And then they did. And the worst part about that Rumble was that it literally ruined Roman Reigns for like the next 5 years. He never recovered as a babyface until he went heel last year. There were moments where people started the warm up to Reigns, like after he won the title from Sheamus on Raw later that year in Philly, among other stuff. He never recovered. People always hated Roman Reigns. And he said this in an interview last week, not the one that I did with him. I think it was with Ryan Satin, but he said, I always wanted to be a heel. If it was up to me, I would have been the fucking heel coming out of the Shield. Rollins would have been a babyface and Moxley would have done his own thing. And that's exactly what they should have fucking done, or at least not catapulted him to the main event the way that they did. So, yeah, it ruined his career for a long time. The match itself sucked. The crowd pooped on the entire, final 2/3 of it after Bryan got tossed out. Not sure whose idea that was. The Roman, oh my God. Rock coming out was a disaster. They had the Authority dominate the entire Rumble. Big Show and Kane were among the last competitors in that Rumble in 2015. They dumped out Ziggler. They dumped out Ryback. They dumped out Ambrose. All the people that you wanted to see win. They all got shucked out by fucking Big Show and Kane. God, it was so bad. That might be the worst Rumble they've ever done. It was really bad.
Wow. Graham.
Yeah, even worse than 99.
If you're saying that, go check out 1993, please.
93 sucked too, but it wasn't, just that reaction. I'm just going off the fan reaction. 93 people weren't as, not entitled's the wrong word, but people weren't as vocal as they are now. Back then, they wouldn't hijack the shows. Although they did cheer when Hogan got tossed out in 92. Or I'm sorry, they booed. They booed when Hogan chucked out Psycho Sid. They did. So they were pretty vocal then, but they weren't shitting on 93, although it's not a great Rumble at all.
So the last part I would ask is that obviously we always talk about the Rumble matches, the 30-man Battle Royal, but what are some matches that occurred at Royal Rumble you were a fan of that don't include the Battle Royal?
6 years ago today, Royal Rumble 2015, the worst Rumble match I've ever seen, but also played host to the greatest Royal Rumble, non-Royal Rumble match I've ever seen at a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. You tweeted this earlier. Brock Lesnar, John Cena, Seth Rollins. One of the greatest triple threats I've ever seen. That has got to be the best match to ever take place at the Royal Rumble. The only other match that comes close, there's a couple. Cena and Styles from 2017 was an amazing match to the point where even AJ recommends it. He regards that as his greatest. I don't know if it's his WWE match ever or just the greatest match he ever had, period. But that was an amazing match. They never left the ring once. Told a great story. They had the whole feud. I love that match. 2003, Kurt Angle and Chris Benoit for the WWE title. Amazing match. Amazing match. Does not get talked about enough due to Benoit being involved, but that match was just a masterpiece. Just a fucking masterpiece. Those are three that come to my mind right off the bat. I know there's been other ones. I know there was like tag team, like a tag team ladder match or a tag team tables match or whatever with the Dudleys a long time ago. I'm sure there's other ones I'm not thinking of, but those are the ones that come to my head right off the fucking bat.
So I have just to name a few.
Okay, you got a list. All right.
We had
and Jericho and Benoit also in the ladder match for the Intercontinental title from 01. That would probably be my top 4 too, top 5.
That's what I had right here. I also had Shawn Michaels, Taker in the casket match, 98, the one that Shawn fucked his back up.
Was that good of a match? I haven't seen it in a long time. I always thought it just kind of paled in comparison to the Hell in a Cell match, so I never really.
No, it's not on Hell in a Cell level. I think, pretty good match. I think what propelled it was continuing the Taker Kane storylines when it's over and Kane puts him on fire in the casket. So that kind of ending. I think it was yesterday, The Rock and Mankind from 99.
Of course. I mean, that was pretty polarizing for obvious reasons, but just because it's kind of disgusting to watch in retrospect, but it was a great match, but I feel bad saying that because of I would put that up there. It's a great match. Tells a great story.
And again, I think that's the match that kind of propels The Rock to, again, he was champion already, but into more superstardom, Mankind, become a household name. Stone Cold wasn't really involved at that time until the massacre of the year, the month after, and WrestleMania 15. What else we got here? You mentioned Brock Cena, Seth from 15. I got the Hardys and Dudleys from 2000 at the Garden.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
You also got also at the Garden Hunter and Cactus.
Oh, of course. How could I forget? Yeah, from 2000.
Then Shawn Michaels Triple H 2004.
Don't care about that match as much.
Okay.
I thought they had better matches together than that one. I thought that was kind of boring. I'd have to go back and watch it. Maybe I might be mistaking that with Triple H and Orton because they had a match at the Rumble too that fucking just bored me to tears. I don't remember about Triple H and Michaels though.
All right, so Mount Rushmore of Royal Rumble matches, not including the Battle Royal, are you have Brock Cena, Seth from 15.
I would put the Angle Benoit match on there. I would put the Triple H Cactus match on there. And I would put probably Cena and Styles on there from 2017.
So no Rock and Mankind?
Maybe Rock and Mankind over Cena and Styles. I don't know. I feel like Cena and Styles is just a better match.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it really depends what you're going for here, what your interest level is and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say. I don't know. That one's interchangeable.
So, yeah, I think Rock, Mankind. I think Brock, Seth, and Cena. That Hunter Cactus was dope too, bro.
It's got to be in the top 4. I mean, it is my Mount Rushmore. It is because it's just an amazing match, and it showcased the new side of Triple H we had never seen before. So for that reason alone, you talk about cementing people as main eventers. That was it for him.
And I think it's tough, man. I hate these Mount Rushmore conversations.
It's tough, yeah.
Rock, Mankind, Brock, Cena, Seth, Hunter Cactus, and you're going Jericho and Benoit from 01.
No, I'm going Angle and Benoit from 03.
Angle Benoit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 03. Okay. That Dudley's Hardys was pretty tough too. So I guess every time they do a show at the Gardens, always the top.
It is, yeah.
So overall, Grant, before we wrap it up, I just want to say thank you for those who are chiming in, tuning in on Twitter, also on YouTube. You can follow me before we wrap up on Twitter and Instagram, Rated J Cruz, Wrestle Rant for Graham. Great work for Bleacher Report and Fansided Daily DDT. If you're watching, if you want to chime in into the chat real quick, let us know your favorite Royal Rumble card overall. So Graham, what is your favorite overall Royal Rumble like card top to bottom, if you have one?
That's a great question. The 92 show overall is a great show. I love the 2016 card. The 2016 card had the Rumble match I thought was awesome. But not just was the Rumble very good. On that show also, you had Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose. That's another honorable mention in terms of best non-Rumble matches at a Rumble show. They had a last man standing match for the Intercontinental title, and it was an amazing match. It was really, really good. They did Del Rio and Kalisto, which was fine. They did Charlotte and Becky Lynch in a great match for the then Divas title. They did the Usos and Dudleys, the Usos and New Day, which was an amazing match for the tag team titles. So 2016 would be up there. 92 probably. 08 had a really good card from start to finish. In the Garden, they also on that show had, in addition to the Great Rumble, Orton Hardy, fun match. Edge and Ray, fun match. I think they did Jericho and JBL as well, and probably a thing or two else. Trying to think. 01 or 2000. One of the two had a really good Royal Rumble pay-per-view. I think 2000. 2000 might be the best Rumble pay-per-view they've ever. Yeah, 2000. So 2000, 2016, 08, and 92 probably would be my top 4 Royal Rumble cards.
So real quick, 2000 had Taz against Kurt Angle.
That was his debut.
Right. The
Amazing.
Hardys and the Dudleys.
Mm-hmm.
Jericho defeated China and Hardcore Holly. The New Age Outlaws and the Acolytes. Triple H, Cactus Jack, and the 30-man Rumble. You mentioned 01?
Yeah, 01 I think was a good one too. What was the 01 Rumble again? What was on that show? Oh, obviously Big Jericho and Benoit. I remember that.
The Dudleys against Edge and Christian. Jericho defeated Benoit. Ivory defeated China. Kurt Angle beat Triple H.
Hmm.
That was for the title.
Okay.
And Stone Cold Stone Cold won the Rumble.
Yeah.
By throwing out Kane.
Yeah, 01 would be up there too.
And you mentioned 2008. I do want to get that. I think that's the one that stands out to me as far as the overall card, top to bottom. I still see Edge spearing Mysterio through the air in my head right now.
Yeah, it was a great moment. Yeah, and the RKO out of nowhere, the twist of fate into the RKO was also a great spot for the finish of that match.
So we got Flair defeated MVP.
Oh, well, yeah, I forgot about that. It was a career-threatening match for Flair.
JBL and Jericho
went to a no contest, I'm pretty sure.
DQ. Edge and Mysterio, Orton, Hardy, and the actual Royal Rumble match.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, are you excited for this year's Royal Rumble? I know it's gonna be different, no fans. Again, I just don't want them having the arena look like it's a Raw or SmackDown. Do something to make it look like, oh, it's the Rumble and there's nobody here, but how can we change it up?
Mm-hmm.
What are you really expecting from the Rumble this week? And then you also had Daniel Bryan winning the Rumble.
I do. That's still my number one pick for the men. Yeah, no, I agree. I think with the Rumble pay-per-views in recent years, they've been pretty good shows overall. The 2018 show that I went to was great. Last year's Rumble pay-per-view was great too. I thought that was a really, really good show. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that'd be my Mount Rushmore, but I thought last year was also a great Rumble pay-per-view. You got to remember, though, for the last 2 years now, 2019 and 2020, and it was supposed to be 2021, they've all been in baseball parks, baseball stadiums, which actually made for a really cool atmosphere. I wasn't sure when they first announced it, but, the 2017 one, I think, was in not the Thunderdome. God, I don't remember. The Alamo Dome. That was a huge stadium. They've had these big feels to them. So yeah, obviously not having fans. If your people aren't excited because of that, I totally get it. Listen, I completely understand. Obviously that bums me out, but it's the Rumble. You're always still going to be excited. I don't like the fact that, like you said, the atmosphere won't be the same, not only without the fans, but I guarantee you they're not going to put any effort into this set to make it look any different than it is for any other pay-per-view or any Raw or any SmackDown. I guarantee you that's not going to happen. So I'm not even getting my hopes up for that. They just won't do it. They probably won't put much effort into much of that stuff until Mania when they have people back for WrestleMania. So that's what I'm expecting. But the Rumbles it's a Royal Rumble. It's hard to not be excited. And we don't have fans there to cheer on the surprises and whatever else happens. And that's fine. As long as it's not a shit Rumble, regardless of whether there's fans there or not, that's all I ask for. So, I have optimism, and I'm not as excited this year as I normally am, but it's the Rumble. It's hard not to be excited. Some Christmases are better than others. That's exactly what this is. And I'm looking forward to Sunday nonetheless.
Exactly. So you got Daniel Bryan. If there's a 1A, 1B, if it's not Daniel Bryan, who's your second choice?
Keith Lee, probably. Keith Lee from Raw. I know Nakamura, people have suggested that. I don't think that's happening. I don't think Cesaro is winning. Goldberg was going to be up there, but he's going for the title instead, so he's not going to be in it. Right. No. I don't think Orton's going to win. It would probably just be Keith Lee. I think Keith Lee has the best chance from the Raw side, and I don't think Edge will come back and win the whole thing again. I think we're past that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, AJ is a dark horse. He's a dark horse. I don't think he's going to win, but that's an option. Yeah, I would say Keith Lee would be 1A or 1B, and then 1A would be what did I say? Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan would be my top choice.
I have 1A. I mentioned earlier to you Bobby Lashley. I think it's right there to create something for him. The story.
He's a dark horse. I agree. I think that'd be awesome.
Daniel Bryan is probably my 1B. You asked me half a year ago, would I say Big E? But I think
I would too. Yeah, but I don't think they're not doing that anytime soon. I don't think.
No. I just don't see anybody else. I don't even see Bray, Orton. No. Can Seth come back and win it and get Roman on SmackDown?
Yeah, but I feel like Seth, just compared to everyone, like there's people in line to face Roman. You literally have currently Kevin Owens feuding with Roman Reigns. So you have the KO Roman thing going on. You have Nakamura going after Roman Reigns. You have Daniel Bryan going after Roman Reigns. Big E going after Roman Reigns. And even Cesaro mentioned wanting to face Roman recently. So that's at least, what'd you say?
Everybody going for Roman.
Everybody. And I just feel like Seth, compared to all those people I just mentioned, is the weakest choice. I think a Rollins-Reigns match would be sick, but it's too soon for that. I feel like it's still too soon. I don't want to see babyface Rollins back right now. I want to see Rollins back, but I think he was doing such a great job as a heel. To turn him or Roman right now would be dumb. So is it possible? Yeah. Do I want to see it? No. He just won it 2 years ago. It doesn't make any sense. And I think there's much better matches for Roman at WrestleMania that don't involve Seth Rollins.
And for the women, who we got?
Bianca Belair is the only honestly choice that I can think of. It's either Bianca or Rhea Ripley. If Bianca wins, she's going for Sasha. If Ripley wins, she's going for Asuka or Charlotte. Probably Charlotte. If Charlotte wins the belt before WrestleMania. So, yeah, I'm still sticking with Belair, but Ripley debuting in the Rumble as a part of the main roster and winning the whole thing, I think would be a great moment, too. They've never had anyone from NXT ever win it before. Shayna came close last year, but she got eliminated by Charlotte. And she should have won that too, but that's another discussion for a different day. But yeah, I got Ripley as my second choice and Belair as my first one. And Alexa Bliss too. Alexa Bliss could win it, but she already beat the Raw Women's Champion, so it doesn't make a lot of sense.
So there's no special entrant, possible comeback. You feel like, hey, if he or she was to come back, maybe they could win it. Obviously, we're talking about like, do I see Brock coming back?
I was just about to say Brock, I could absolutely see coming back and winning the whole thing. I would be so fucking pissed. I don't want to.
But listen, the story's there.
It is, but
Roman's the bad guy now. You got Paul Heyman now. Brock is like, yo, Paul, what the fuck? You left me to go Roman Reigns. What's up? And now I'm the good guy. It could turn the tables around. But you don't want that.
It's too soon. I think it's too soon to be doing Brock and Roman again. We literally just got that 2 or 3 years ago. And then 2 or 3 years before that.
I mean, who else is out there to defeat the head of the table? If it ain't Owens, if it ain't all the other guys,
it doesn't have to be right now. I don't think Bryan needs to be Roman, but you can have Roman win at WrestleMania. Listen, if Roman loses to Brock, then I'm done. Because there's no reason to have Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns at this point. It's fucking stupid. You know, whoever beats Roman, I think it's gotta make sense, or they gotta benefit from it. Bryan wouldn't benefit from it, but it would make sense. But I don't even think Bryan needs to win. Honestly, I think Bryan winning the Rumble, the one match you could never win, and the same match that people wanted him to win, that Roman won instead, and they shit him out and they just boot him out of the building. I think that makes it for the perfect story, and the match would be great. But that's it. You know, they don't have to have Bryan win. It's not he absolutely has to go on to win. He really doesn't. He's so established that it doesn't really matter. So, I just don't want to see that. I thought you were going to say Drew, because he could also face Drew in a rematch. I don't want to see that either. At least not with him winning the Rumble. I don't want to see it at WrestleMania again. No thanks. There's better opponents for Drew. Sheamus could win. I mean, him and Drew are obviously headed for some sort of a match at some point. Mm-hmm. Don't want to see him win again either. So, I don't know. There's just much better options out there for Roman than Seth or Brock, who he's already faced and beaten before multiple times.
And I'm assuming we don't see Becky, we don't see fucking Ronda come back. So obviously we're really down to what the roster is now. I don't think anybody, they might come back, have some older veterans come in, do a little here powwow here and there, but to win it, I mean, can like fucking Trish come back and win it and get shot?
Rousey, I could see that's a possibility. I think it's more likely we get Brock back sooner, but I think Rousey coming back to win the whole thing. I thought last year was too soon when people said, "Oh, could she come back this year and win the Rumble and then face Becky at Mania?" I mean, it wasn't too soon. By that point, she was gone for 9 months, but the whole reason why she took time off was to have a kid. I don't know if that's still the goal or what's going on with that. Because she's training again right now, so I don't know if she's training for an in-ring return or just to stay in shape. I don't know.
Right.
But I've just gotten this feeling lately where I feel like she could be back now. I didn't have that feeling last year. At any point in 2020 that I ever feel she will be back in the near future. I get the feeling now that she will be back at some point. It's more a matter of when than if. I think, she could win the Rumble. I don't see it happening, but it's not like a open and closed, shut case. I think there's a good chance that she could come back and win, but she's not my number one pick at all. She's probably 3, if anything.
And one final question before I let you go. Obviously, we do this every year as fans. do we finally get CM Punk coming back in the Rumble?
No, I don't. I wish, dude. Listen, I've been hoping for that for years, but I'm not going to sit here and mistakenly think that there's a remote chance of that happening. I mean, anything can happen. Will he be back in the company at some point? I've always said yes. I don't think he'll be back wrestling with them. I think he'll be back as an announcer or as a commentator or as whatever, in the Hall of Fame, probably. At a time like this, too, Punk is not a dumb guy. If he was to come back and face Roman at Mania, that would, to me at least, make more sense than Seth or Brock, because at least that's a fresh match, and you have the Heyman factor in there, too. So I just think that'd be fucking sick. And Punk would finally get a WrestleMania main event out of it that he never got before. But I think he'd be a hypocrite if he did that, because after sitting on the sidelines for 7 years, he comes back and is the exact same person. He was so fucking pissed when Rock came back. He's like, oh, why did Rock come back? He's taking a spot away from the boys. He would be doing the exact same thing. Punk's been gone for the same amount of time that fucking Rock was when Rock came back after 7 years. Punk's been gone for 7 years too. So, I mean, as a fan, selfishly, I would love to see it. Do I see it happening? No. Do I think it would make business sense? Not really. It would get me excited as a Punk fan. I just don't think it's going to happen. And I don't think he would come back in the middle of a fucking pandemic anyway. With no fans. I don't think if anything, he would have to come back with a lot of people. He's a smart guy. Unless they're offering him like $1 billion, it ain't going to happen, I don't think.
Well, I got 1A, Bobby Lashley, 1B, Daniel Bryan, and 1C, CM Punk. There you go.
Oh, my God. I lost you with Punk, but I like the Lashley pick. I would fucking love if Bobby Lashley won the Royal Rumble. It is absolutely not going to happen, but I would I talked earlier about a Cesaro winning. Give us a shock winner. Bobby Lashley is absolutely the definition of a shock winner, because no one, I mean, you're not expecting it. You're predicting he's going to win, but you're not expecting it, right? Like, do you actually think he's going to win, or do you just want him to win?
I think from when you look at the pandemic and who has been really standing out, aside from the Ortons and Drews and other people and Sasha, like that Hurt Business group really has been holding its own for quite some time. And at some point in time, so Bobby might have a U.S. title match on the card. He could drop that to
Red Alert,
and be in the Rumble and win it, and then go up against Drew at WrestleMania, because Bobby and Roman don't make sense. So Bobby and Drew make sense too. And it's like, who else? If you're trying to have someone to win from the Raw side, it's not Keith Lee, it's not Sheamus. But right now, the story is there to have Bobby Lashley and Drew. I could be totally wrong, but
I mean, the story's there with Sheamus. I just don't want to see Sheamus win the Rumble. That's all.
Me then. Plus, Bobby's never won the Rumble. So
listen, I agree with Bobby. I just don't think they'll ever do it. I don't think they see Bobby at being at that level, but I would love to be wrong. I would absolutely love to be wrong, because I think he should be at that level.
I mean, it can't be no worse than fucking Del Rio.
No, dude, Del Rio is just like, oh my God, this guy's fucking terrible. Not everyone's a Bobby Lashley fan, but he is far more believable than that piece of shit ever was. So give me a Bobby Lashley win over Del Rio any day of the week.
Yep. Graham Matthews, Bleacher Report, Fans Cited, Daily DDT, Wrestle Rant on Twitter. Go ahead, check out some of the recent interviews he's done with fucking Triple H, Finn Balor, Roman Reigns, a whole bunch of people. Keith Lee, go ahead, check it out. You can follow me on Twitter at Randy J. Cruz, also on IG, RENDY, the letter J, CRUZ. You can find the podcast on SoundCloud, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and now at the Cruise Control Podcast Network on YouTube. Go ahead, download, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Show some love and support to the show. If you're a fan of the show, go cop the t-shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com and enjoy the Royal Rumble this Sunday, Graham. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it as always. Let's get ready to Rumble.
That's right. Take it easy, man.
You too, bro.
All right.